All right, everyone. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Thursday night after a, do we say, epic showdown, Bronny versus Cooper Flagg to start the NBA Summer League in Vegas. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. The dog days of summer are officially here, and so we're looking for any excitement. And Cooper Flagg versus Bronny, that, like you said, kicked off that Vegas Summer League, which is every year I feel like it's starting to get bigger and bigger. But yeah, things are good. How are things with you?
Pretty good. Yeah. Like you said, anything to get us started on basketball is a good thing. So we'll get into that tonight and some other things with Giannis kind of hit the news and some Anthony Davis injury update stuff we'll get into. But as always, everybody, I am the Game Injury Doc, a.k.a. Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my right is Eric B. Mack. We are the host of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us at our YouTube, the Hoops Rehab Show, and then also we'll be having the pod uploaded after the live show, and you can download that wherever you get your podcasts. We also can be found at our handles on all other social media platforms, so please follow us, subscribe to the channel, and so we can continue providing all this NBA insight to you guys. And as always, when we're doing the live stream, if you can, in the YouTube chat or the Twitter chat, please drop some comments and give us your insight on some of the things that's going on in the NBA. But ready, Eric? Let's get it cracking. So tonight was the start of the NBA Summer League in Vegas. They've had a couple previous games in other areas, but this is like the flagship of the NBA Summer League. And of course, they got the Lakers playing in prime time, and it's against the number one draft pick, Cooper Flagg. So what do you think of the game and kind of the hype kind of leading up to it, and how Cooper Flagg did and Bronny James did?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a coincidence that was the matchup. You got the big trade that happened. You got the number one pick. You got LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, a.k.a. Bronny James. And so, yeah, it was must-see TV, I think, for a Summer League game. And so, with Summer League, we know how it is, right? Like, it's obviously they're teams and they try to win, and there's usually like a championship or something of that sort in the Vegas version of it. And so, but I think mainly we don't really look at kind of who does well. It's more individual players and see how they do and see how they progress. I know a couple of years ago when it was Wemby, he kind of struggled early in the preseason. And so, with Cooper Flagg, I didn't really see those struggles. I saw he was missing some shots, and I think that was going to happen. But man, you could tell like his defense is going to probably come before his offense, because he's a damn good defender. I don't know if I didn't realize it or what, but he's definitely block shots, scrappy. He's all over the place, and so I liked what I saw from him. And hey, Bronny James too. He was D'ing up Cooper Flagg there a little bit. He had that chance for the game winner. I think if he would have made that, it would have been all over Sports Center tonight. It was a tough three, but yeah, it was a pretty fun game. Again, I was kind of rooting for the Lakers watching it. It was just kind of funny, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's more the individual contributions. I know DK got injured, Dalton Connect. I don't know. Didn't really check on the severity of that, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was pretty good. What did you think about the duo and I guess Dalton Connect?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, seeing Cooper Flagg is he's going to be one hell of a player. And like you said, Wemby kind of got off to a rough start in Summer League, and we all know what Wemby looks like in the NBA right now. So I think overall, Cooper Flagg defensively is going to be a hell of a player. And like when you kind of look at the Dallas Mavs and you see Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg as kind of those big guys down low, and I mean, obviously, if they're starting Gafford at the center, Anthony Davis at the 4, and Cooper at the 3, that is a damn long lineup. And
not getting inside.
No, and Cooper Flagg is super athletic, right? So he can jump out of the gym. He can pretty much guard 1 through 5 because he's that quick on defense as well, and just super long. I forget how tall he is. Like sometimes when you look at
I
him,
know.
he's a pretty damn massive dude, and somehow he's only 18 years old. Like he should be going to his freshman year of college, like his twin brother is, but he reclassified up, so he left a little bit early, right? So he's super young and super athletic, and we all know how he's going to turn out to be a pretty damn good player. And obviously his shot was a little bit off tonight. You're going to expect that. I'm sure he had some nerves and things like that. But overall, I mean, he had a nice little highlight dunk. He had pretty much a game-saving block to end the game, and a nice pass to Nembhard, who is his. I mean, I wasn't sure if Aaron Nembhard was playing, or obviously it's Ryan Nembhard with his brother, but it looks just like him, and his game is actually pretty damn good too. So pretty cool to see. And then on the Lakers end, I like what I see at Bronny on the defensive end. We got to start looking at him as more defensive player and not how many points he scores. I really could care less how much he scores, but I want to see the effort on defense, and like him picking up Cooper Flagg when he knows he has about 9 inches on him and bodying him the whole time and getting fouls. Love it. I love to see that, and I want to continue to see that kind of moving forward.
Yeah, Net. I think Nembhard, that last name has become a household name with Indiana Pacers having obviously a long run in the playoffs, and so yeah, same thing. I saw that, and I saw him hit a clutch 3 at the end there, and I'm like, wait, what is that? Drew? Is that Andrew, or is that Ryan? And so yeah, that's always pretty cool when you see a sibling kind of balling out. And yeah, I mean, good point. We know what you're kind of looking for with Cooper Flagg, number 1 pick. You're expecting obviously the most out of him, and then Bronny just taking the next step, being a little better than he was yesterday, so to speak. And so yeah, there's that. And then man, I was you're talking about their length and the defense of Dallas, and I was just thinking, man, imagine if they had that plus like a Klay Thompson from Golden State, because he was a hell of a defender at that point. Now it's with his injuries and age and things, it's he's not nearly what he was, but that would have been something if it was what he did back then. And so yeah, man, Dallas got themselves a player. I mean, I don't think we need one summer league game to tell us that, but you could just kind of see when a player is probably gonna be the truth if as long as they stay healthy and whatnot.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, they're going to be Dallas Mavericks are going to be an interesting team this year because they'll have the veteran talent and they'll have this rookie who doesn't necessarily have to be the best player on a losing team, right? Well, that's usually your number 1 pick is just on a losing team, their best player, most talented player. And then right now you're stepping into a team that has Anthony Davis, who's obviously a perennial all-star. And, Kyrie when he's healthy, obviously. And then you have Klay Thompson, all these kind of vets around him. So I think he's going to be able to just plug in, play his game, right? Like he's probably going to average somewhere between 15 and 20, right? And be able to play great defense and kind of come into the league and kind of learn the game from some of these NBA vets. And I think you couldn't ask for a better situation for a number 1 pick. And I don't think there's, in a long time, has there been maybe like Tim Duncan, like coming into the Spurs, like where it was like the team was bad, and then they obviously got lucky, got the number 1 pick. And then obviously next year they're great when you had Robinson and you had Duncan, you had all these other veterans on there. So I feel like that's the closest comparison to like what Cooper Flagg's situation is with the Mavs. Think about the same with that?
Yeah, that honestly, you took the words out of my mouth. Like I was trying to think of the last time where there's been some kind of comp. And so what happened was, the 96 season, I believe David Robinson got injured for the whole season.
That's
And
right.
so San Antonio had consistently been, they hadn't won a championship, but they had been, Western Conference Finals. They always had a good team with David Robinson. He got injured. And Greg Popovich became the head coach during that season that he became injured. And so it was thought to be just kind of an interim basis. He was from the front office. And then, they got the number 1 pick. David Robinson came back healthy. Tim Duncan, and then and obviously the rest is history. And so that's a good point. Like it's like not exactly, but very similar situation. And so I think they're going to have that mix of the vets with a young core. The wild card will be Kyrie, because if he's out all of next year, I think they'll still be pretty good. But I think for them to be a championship kind of team, they'll need Kyrie Irving, obviously, or at least not obviously, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, man, they traded Luka, but there's a lot of upside in Dallas the next few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, Nico is probably like I'm trying to think of when they got the number 1 pick, how he reacted at home privately was probably the most. Like if you had a video, he was probably just like, "What I tell you?"
Yeah,
like he probably was super pumped, right? Like, and nothing's gonna change the fans' reaction of trading Luka. Like I don't think they're ever gonna get over that. But I'll tell you that right now, having Cooper Flagg and what they see next season and the seasons going on in Dallas, they will soon forget about Luka a little bit, in a way of just like, all right, we got a player, we got another guy. The team is more than likely a playoff team, even without Kyrie next year. And, adding like D'Lo just to at least provide some sort of point guard status or somebody that can score, I think was a pretty good move by them. And overall, I don't think they could have got any better with free agent guards. So they're going to be pretty exciting going into next year, and look forward to seeing Cooper in a Mavs uniform.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he definitely got bailed out. Got lucky, right? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And so, expect some big things for them for sure. And I kind of forgot about the D'Lo signing. That's actually a real nice. It just depends what situation he's in. If you're expecting him to be your second or third best player, no. But if you're expecting him to be what he's going to be expected to be in Dallas, just carry the offense, run it a little bit, dish it, spot up, shoot, pick his spots. Then I think that's where you'll see the best of D'Lo. But looking forward to seeing what that team will do next year.
And he gets to reunite with Mr. Anthony Davis.
Yep.
All right. So some other news today. Giannis was in the news about possibly where he's going to play this next season. So he was on a live stream with Speed, I Show Speed, who's obviously one of the biggest streamers out there. And they started talking about, LA, Lakers, Knicks, and LA being obviously big tax, New York being a big tax. And then Giannis says, yeah, I had a lot of people trying to get me to play basically essentially for the Knicks. I don't know who those people are, but it's kind of interesting to kind of hear some feedback from him with that. And then Speed just asked him straight up, are you going to play in Milwaukee next season? And he said, we'll see. Probably. And he said again, we'll see. And then he said, I love Milwaukee. And then really just changed the subject right after that. So kind of interesting words from Giannis. What do you make out of any of that? Is it a big deal, or is it a little deal?
Yeah, is it like something, nothing, or a big deal? And I would probably say it's like something, right? Like, I don't want to say it's nothing, because he could easily just say like, no, I love it in Milwaukee. I'm going to be here next year, right? But in this day and age, nobody could just do that, right? You always got to kind of throw a little bit of bait out there. And it's midway through the summer. It's summer league time. It's kind of a slow time in basketball, right? So this kind of news, we'll get a lot of news. And so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if like it's a bit unique, because Giannis has won a championship, right? And so he's not going to be one of these players that like he's going to be, not that he doesn't want to win another one, but championship hunting because he's got one. And I don't know if he's just one of these guys that, you know what, he is happy getting paid handsomely, living in Milwaukee, right? Let's be honest, like he's got pressure because he's like one of the top players, but not as much pressure as a big city. And so that makes me think sometimes like he could just be one of those guys, right? Like I know like Karl Malone, you know, and went to the Lakers during his last season, and but just somebody like him, right? Just sticking it out in Utah, John Stockton. I know Charles Barkley moved around a little, but I don't know. Just trying to think of like former stars that just were happy where they were and didn't have to chase at the big city. And I don't know. I don't know if he's there. But when he makes comments like that, I think it's just like a heads up, Milwaukee. I'm not going to just stay here without you attempting to make the team better. That's kind of how I saw it. What about you?
Yeah, I saw it in a similar way. I think it's interesting to see where he lands on the Damian Lillard, them just buying him out and cutting him and signing Miles Turner. Like, is it something that he feels was made them better, or was it just something that's the best they could do and they're trying to please him, and it might not be good enough, right? And so I think he's just weighing his options for sure. Like, I think he's looking around, he's talking with his agent, he's talking with everybody. He's obviously, I think, probably talked to the Knicks, or at least had some sort of contact in the back channels. And I also think he's thinking about when he's a free agent in 27, right? There's going to be a lot of free agents in 27. We talked about the Lakers possibly saving money for 27. We all know how we kind of feel about that. But the reality is there's going to be a Joker. There's going to be Giannis. There's going to be some people that potentially can make that NBA offseason one of the biggest we've had in a long time if they don't sign another extension. So I think that's part of it, like him thinking about whether or not he wants to be a full free agent, or if the right team could make a trade, would that work for him? And I think he just, for the first time in his career, really contemplating whether or not he wants to stay there.
Yeah, it's kind of hit a crossroads. It'd be interesting. I don't know if they asked him about the Dame situation in the interview or not, but I'm sure we'll hear something about what he thought. And who knows? He may give the politically correct answer. I have no idea. But yeah, I think, like I just said, we're at a crossroads. I anticipate him kind of playing this out and maybe opting out in 27 and maybe having that like free agency tour, something we don't really see that often anymore, but it could be setting up for that. This day and age, we don't see that. We see more so trade. So it could be something where he's leverages his upcoming free agency to kind of force his way out of there eventually if this year doesn't go well. But unless something crazy happens, which it does, as we know, I would see him being in Milwaukee this year and just we'll be kind of the same spot we're at next year. Like, hey, he's got 1 year left, and should the Bucks trade him now and get what they can for him? And you'll start hearing that noise. And so until then, I expect him to be in the Bucks uniform next year.
True. Now, here's a question for you. Who's more likely to be traded this offseason? LeBron or Giannis?
Man. So we obviously know, one would have to agree to it. And I guess we're just putting that out there. Man, that is a tough one. I would say just because of the nightmare logistics of who LeBron can go to, I would say Giannis, but then again, it's going to be tough for him too. They're both going to be tough trades because of the salary implications, but I think you can get a lot more Giannis, no disrespect to LeBron, of course, top 2 or 3 ever, but Giannis is going to move the needle a little bit more just because he has more time and he's younger. So because of that, I'll have to say Giannis. I think the more disgruntled person at this time might be LeBron. but I just thinking about the logistics of it, I have to go with Giannis. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, for all those kind of reasons, right? Like Giannis's obviously value is just through the roof compared to LeBron, just because of time and where Giannis is in his career. But we still haven't heard from LeBron, and to
I asked
me,
you about something
it
about that
is
too.
kind of interesting because I feel like by now we would have heard something, especially after signing Aiton. Um, and I don't necessarily thought that made him a championship contender. So if LeBron's looking for that, and obviously it's gotten quiet in free agency and any trade stuff, I don't know. I think we're going to hit a crossroads in this next week or two where we'll finally hear something, whether or not he really wants to be traded or wants to stay with the Lakers moving forward.
Speaking of nothing, something, or everything, hey, maybe we can name that a segment or something. But
Like that.
what about? I don't know if you saw. So DeAndre Ayton was on, I believe, the George Sedano and Kaplan show 710, and he said that he heard from Luca, not heard from LeBron James. It could be on par with LeBron, but what is that? Is that anything at all?
That is something. Like if your potentially biggest free agent just signed and you never send him a text, what signal are we sending the Lakers? Because I think, from what I've seen or read, there's some tension between LeBron and Lakers front office. And I think that obviously has to do with kind of the Luka trade and kind of how they're moving forward with more Luka and not necessarily moving forward with LeBron in mind. And so I think he's playing a little bit of hardball right now. And I don't know how long this is going to last, but it might be one of those where he just wakes up and goes, "All right, I'm ready. I'll be on the Lakers. I'm
Training camp starts tomorrow.
Training camp, how he gets, I'm going to be in El Segundo right now. Or, is this something in the next week or two we'll actually find out that he means business and Rich Paul means business about a trade?
Yeah, we haven't heard much about comments, and of course this is publicly, right? We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but we haven't heard much talk about the ownership change from LeBron. Not much of just really anything. And the latest is the DeAndre Ayton signing and him just saying, like, I think just the fact that he's like, "Yep, I heard from Luca," but like if he was like, "Yeah, no, it's still early. I haven't talked to any of the guys or whatever," we'd be like, "Okay." But the fact that he's like, "Yep, heard from Luca, but not from LeBron," and he obviously took the high road with that, and like, yeah, like I get it, like he's in his off-season mode, and this and that, and so, but yeah, it of course was talked about, on Sedano and Cap, and then just kind of all over the ESPN network. But we'll see. I assume they're gonna they're gonna be forced to have a conversation at some point, but maybe sooner than later.
Yeah, it will be real interesting moving forward, to say the least. But all right, let's move into our Something Happened Today segment. And let's just talk about the Anthony Davis injury and also his surgery that he had. So Anthony Davis had surgery for a detached retina, and he'll be healthy to start the season. But this begs the question, because typically when you have a detached retina after the injury, you need to have surgery within a couple of days because you can lose a lot of vision. You can potentially actually lose your vision in that eye. So it's kind of interesting that, maybe they're just saying it as a detached retina, or it was maybe like, a tear or something like that, where it wasn't exactly the same thing, but essentially usually you would have it right away. So I'm kind of thrown off by the language in the reporting. However, we know that he's going to have the surgery, and And the retina plays obviously a crucial role in our eyes. It basically allows us, brings light in and allows us the process to the brain so we can actually see something. So this always begs the question with Anthony Davis. And we remember him from LA, how many times he got poked in the eye. And I'm surprised this hasn't happened before, because there's times where it looked like, man, that was bad. I wonder if it happened, if he had a detached retina with that one. And we were always talking about him. Should he wear goggles? Now, after having a surgery like this, I would hope he comes back next season with some form of shades or form of goggles. What do you say, Eric?
Yeah, when I first heard that that update on him, I'm like, oh gosh, I just immediately thought of, I don't know if it was so much last season on the Lakers, which obviously played half a year. I think it was the year before, where it was definitely a handful of times, and in some big games too, where he gets slapped across the face and then he's out for the rest of the game. Because it's obviously can't see anything. So, I mean, not saying anything about that, but it would always make us talk about come on, man. I know it's probably not the most comfortable thing. It's not the most stylish thing, but goggles, we've had some great Lakers wear goggles. And so, I guess nowadays they probably wear some kind of shades. But yeah. So yeah, it just brought me back to his Laker days, where there was many times that we saw him go out early, as I said, and we were like, damn, come on, brother, get some goggles. And so he might be forced to now, perhaps. I have no idea. But that's what I'm kind of curious. Was it something that just happened, or was he playing a pickup game and it happened, or I don't know. But it was kind of interesting news to hear in the offseason.
Well, they did say it was from because he had it happen in LA before he was traded, and then also in when he came back from the groin injury, he got poked in the eye from Gafford on accident, and then he had stitches above his eye, so he had 4 stitches. Came back in the game, hit a game winner, I believe, in that game, and then played another game or two, and then didn't play the rest of the season. Right. So I think it was from that. But my thing is, if it's something serious, I'm surprised this didn't happen already, or it's something that we maybe didn't hear about, and here he had the surgery and they reported it just now. So I'm not really sure, based on, we're not in the inside and we don't know exactly what's going on. But typically you would have surgery within a couple of days if it's actually detached like that.
Yeah, I guess maybe, you never know. It could happen right after the season or something. And like you said, we're just hearing about it today, and they're just kind of reporting he got that done and he'll be fine by the start of training camp. So, I mean, should be fine, sounds like, but it does, hits a little soft spot or spot in, us Laker fans is, minds, because it's man, we kind of went through that for sure with him back when he was here in LA.
Yeah, and I'm sure Dallas fans are, when they saw that report, they're like, "Oh goodness, wow."
Yeah, here we go.
AD's having surgery. Immediate reaction, because unless you read it all the way through, you're like, "Oh, okay, detached retina, you should be fine." Blah 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 blah. But in their back of their mind, they're just like, "Man, already having surgery, and you just got to Dallas, and you've been there for a week or two." So we've AD has dealt with many injuries, but I will say one thing: he plays through a lot. He's a tough player, and he hasn't had any of the major injuries, which is great, but he's had a lot of knick-knack things, but has proven that he can play through that. So I hate when he gets the moniker of being glass or being injury prone, because yes, he's had some injuries in his past and missed some games, but he usually plays through a lot of things, unlike some players in this league.
Yeah, he definitely has had some tough seasons, but I think the year before, the last 2 years or so, 2.5 years before he got traded, he was actually pretty available. And so I think he was kind of not kind of turning away that stigma. But right when he got traded to Dallas, he got injured. And so I think that reopened all those conversations, because it happened the first game that he got back, I think, when he played with Dallas. I mean, hopefully, as we talked about earlier with Dallas, it'd be nice to see how they play as a whole and healthy. And so, He's got to be pretty motivated, and so I'm sure he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, so let's get into those newest champions, OKC
Ooh.
Thunder, and all the money that they are giving out this offseason. So we obviously knew that Shea signed his massive extension, making him one of the biggest, highest paid players in the league. And then we saw Chet, sign for that 250 over 5 years, which was, I was surprised that he got that right away. And then you knew that if Chet got his money, Jalen was going to get his money right after that. So he signed for about a 5-year, 278, I believe, or that's the max you can get out of the contract. So what do you think of these contracts? You knew that they were going to try to keep those three as their cornerstones, but we know with the new salary cap, they're going to be in salary cap hell after next season. So what do you think of the signings and everything that they did?
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of Celtics. The Celtics, so Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and then they extended Derek White to a pretty hefty contract, and so like that's the three players. But to even a higher degree, that they extended Porzingis and Holiday, and so Drew Holiday, and so I think I'm not can't say that I'm just know so much about the salary cap, but I think there's something to signing them a little early. I mean, they're getting paid for sure, but I think the longer you wait, the more that's going to go up. As you could see, SGA is going to be making like 70 something million a year coming up here soon, which is like just insane. Same with Devin Booker from Phoenix. And so I think there's a little bit of that, but this year they should come back with the same squad. But I think the same thing that's going on with the Celtics this offseason could happen next year for them. And so I'm thinking of guys like Hartenstein, and Caruso, which we know was the kind of the heartbeat of that team. And so when you start losing guys like that, that's when things change. And so, yeah, they're going to have to try to figure something out because Caruso, it kind of reminds me of this because Caruso, they signed to an extension. And it was kind of similar to the number that Drew Holiday got. But this is today's NBA. They won a championship. They're going to try to win one next year. And then after that, I think some changes will come.
Yeah, and another player like Lou Dort, right, had an extension already
Dort.
too. So
Right.
There's going to be players that they're going to have to trade. But I'll say one thing. Man, they have draft pick after draft pick. And I think they're going to be able to plug in some players. Like they got the guy Topic who's playing today, who's going to he should be a pretty damn good player. He's coming off the ACL tear last year. That's why he dropped so much in the draft. He would have been a top 3 or top 5 pick if he didn't have ACL tear. So they drafted him knowing that he was having surgery, going to be out the whole season. So players like that, I think they're going to have enough of those little players that come that are able to develop for these next 2 years that you can just plug and play around these 3 all-stars, right? Or potential. I wouldn't say Chet's there yet, but those 3 kind of players that will be there. But yeah, losing guys like a Caruso or a Dort would be like the glue to your team. So they're going to have to be able to replace players like that if they want to continue to win. But what are the alternatives? Not pay them? You're not going to do that. And you just won a championship. And you can see this as a window that has started now into a dynasty. And say you paying all these players in the next 5 years, they get another 1 or 2, 3 championships in 5 years or something like that is way worth it.
Yeah, look, I mean, the goal is to obviously make a bunch of money and win the championship. And they did that. And so we don't want to be like, oh, well, look what they're doing. They're going to demolish this team in a few years or whatever. But it's like, what else are they going to do? I think what potentially might happen is you might see Williams or Chet be one that gets traded eventually, one of those guys, depending on kind of where they stand. because I think they're going to value that depth. Or you keep the 3, and like you said, they're going to have guys that are waiting in the wings, guys that are already there, and guys that will be drafted the next couple seasons because they got a billion draft picks still. Or you package those picks, make a trade, right? They have a lot of options, but the start of that usually is when players start to get paid, which is what we're seeing, which is what we expected. And I'm sure they're going to want to try to get that back to back before they start having to make some tough decisions.
Yeah, I know money always, not always, but a lot of times make players different, a team different, because now players are getting these huge contracts. But some of the chemistry that you see between OKC, their interviews that they always had. Did you see their interview in Summer League?
They did it. Don't tell me they did the thing.
Oh, yeah. They all interviewed together. They're interviewing, I don't even know the kid. I think it's Youngblood, who's an undrafted guy. He's been on a couple of different Summer League teams. They interviewed him. They're putting towels around him. They're doing that little towel thing. Dave McMenamin is interviewing him, and it just looks like the same thing. And that's culture, right? That's from the coaching. That's from the GM. That's just the whole vibe that they have. And you got to love it, man. Like, I know that they're going to become the villains because that's what happens with winners. Eventually, people are going to not root for them, and there's going to be something negative about them, and they're going to take that role as the hated team, right? But right now, if I was growing a team, number one would be the way they are growing it based on their culture. And that's the most important thing that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they got the star, and obviously they traded for him. It was before he was a star, so they developed him. They got a bunch of draft picks, struck gold on some of them, and they are cohesive. It's from top to bottom, from G League to Summer League team to NBA team. They all kind of have the same characteristics, and there's something to be said for that. And so other teams should really start to look at that and try to mirror that, because that's what's going to be sustainable in this era of the hard cap. You got to have players that produce now and players that are going to be in the wings starting to hopefully produce in a couple of years. And so they're doing that, and it's pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking, obviously we've been Laker fans for all this time, and could you imagine the Lakers ever doing that with interviews, or, they're all surrounding LeBron? Like, I've just never seen it before, right? Or with Kobe and things like that. Do you think that's from the team culture, or did SGA bring that in there? I know he's it seems like a quiet leader, but is that something? I feel like they've evolved into who he is as a person, and I feel that's a lot from him as far as the culture, and it's being showed loudly through that, but he's not as loud about it, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. He's not a boisterous kind of leader, but he's obviously got the respect of his teammates. I think they asked him who started that whole thing. I want to say I think it just kind of happened on the fly. Maybe the other, what's the other one? Jalen Williams. They're both Jalen Williams, right?
Just spelled differently.
Yeah, something with him or something. They asked him how that started. I forgot what he said, but I think he mentioned him. He kind of got it kicked off. So yeah, I mean, it's but yeah, they follow their leader, and he shows it on the court and then off the court too, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty cool to see, though. Want to get to one of our YouTube comments, Mike Jones.
Who?
Here, Mike Jones. Cooper Flagg can't shoot. Well, we watched him in college. We've seen him in high school, and he's a pretty good shooter. I will say, usually your first summer league game or 2 or 3 or 4, you're probably not going to be the best shooter. He's got to get used to the NBA game. Obviously, the three-point line is a different spot than it is in college. So there's always going to be adjustment for every player that comes out of college in the NBA. So I wouldn't take him missing some shots tonight as a bad thing. The fact that he attempted 21 or 23 shots is a good thing, because that means he's going out there trying to get buckets and trying to get a feel for the game. I'd rather him shoot 20-something shots in the first game versus shoot 6.
Oh, yeah. I mean, last thing you want is him being timid. And we talked about it early in the show. We think his defense is going to be what's there. His length, his playmaking on the transition or in the transition, I think will be big. And his shot and is probably going to come last, right? And so he's going to be hoisting him up. He's going to get more comfortable in the NBA game. That 3-point line, as you said, it's a little bit out there versus college. And so, yeah, I would like just RELAX over one game. Relax. I had to think about how to spell that for a second. But yeah, relax. But
the good old Aaron Rodgers.
Thanks, appreciate it.
But yeah,
I know, like Aaron Rodgers.
He's going to take some time, and we all know that he's going to be a hell of a player in the NBA. So I wouldn't be worried about anything with that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Eric. So before we get on out of here, you got anything else to add for tonight's show?
Other than we'll see how the rest of Summer League goes, and hopefully we'll get some news on some activity. Things start to slow down now, as we've kind of talked about, in terms of like the free agency, the trade front. And so, yeah, hopefully we hear some news somewhere, because it's starting to, as I said, get to the dog days of summer, but we're still going to be here for you guys, as much as we can.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten quiet in the free agency, because I know there's still a lot of players out there. So
yeah, there is.
Let's just see over the next couple of days, next week or two, if we get some more news on NBA free agency and if any trades are made there. So until next time, you guys, the Hoops Rehab team is out, and we will see you guys soon. Peace out, guys.
Peace.